I once dated the daughter of a top-tier family. She didn't care that I was poor and would spend a fortune on me. She'd kiss me sincerely on the private jetway. I thought that was love, until her childhood friend returned, and she ditched the gifts I gave her, only to laugh and chat with him. I took the hint and disappeared that day, gone for 5 years. But wasn't she supposed to be happy? So why was she crying? On our senior career fair day, I saw Gina again. She was dressed in an elegant business suit, with a cool and unique vibe, surrounded by people. My roommates were talking from afar. Everyone was dying to join Airlines, all because of Gina. You know, Gina's only a year older than us. Gina is 23, an airline heir, a legit airline kid. Besides her prominent background, she's really eye-catching. Tall, well-proportioned, with delicate features and outstanding temperament. Last year, Air brought in a bunch of actresses for a promo, but Miss Lou stole the show. Everyone said Gina was the best spokesperson for Airlines. I looked up and saw Gina answering questions calmly, so different from how I remembered her. She used to be so spiteful, so cold. Those beautiful thin lips only ever spoke hurtful words. My roommates were still talking. Look, the campus heartthrob is almost throwing himself at Gina. Didn't you see Gina's childhood friend standing right next to her? Henry is so handsome he's perfect with Gina. I heard they're childhood friends too. Wow, it's great to see such a fitting love match. Hey, don't you guys think Michael looks a bit like Henry? The topic suddenly turned to me. Do I look a bit like Henry? More than that. How else could a poor student from the countryside like me have caught Gina's eye 5 years ago? She personally tutored me and taught me about planes. She once kissed me on a private airstrip. She gave me a grand dream just because I looked like him. It was time for open questions. My bold roommate was the first to raise his hand. No real questions. Just wanted to say, Henry, you're so handsome. Henry smiled warmly. Thank you, everyone. Please support Airlines. Oh, by the way, my roommate switched topics. I have a friend who looks just like you. Suddenly, all eyes were on us, including Gina. Gina's eyes stayed on us. I bent down, pretending to tie my shoe, my heart pounding. Luckily, my roommate was just making a casual remark, and things moved on. A student asked, Gina, what kind of people does Airlines not want to hire? Gina replied without hesitation, show-offs. Her answer surprised everyone. Gina explained calmly, personally, I don't like show-offs or liars. When I meet such applicants, I cross them off immediately. Does it come from a bad experience? Well, my ex was like that. The crowd gasped with gossip. Even after the session ended, everyone discussed Gina and her mysterious ex. No one noticed when I tossed away Airlines flyer, quietly slipping away. My roommates were all flight attendants and I was in the pilot program. Basically, I fly planes. Everyone was aiming for Airlines, but the competition was intense, with almost the entire flight attendant program preparing. The bold roommate, Jackson, was closest to me. Before the written test, he confided, Michael, I'm really jealous of you. You've got a sure shot at Airlines. Why do you say that? There are few male trainees in your program, and you're the top in your major. Farrand would be eager to have you. Well, it's hard to say. Male pilots aren't that sought after. No, you're wrong. Sometimes guys can be rash, but being top in your field means you're steadier and have put in more effort. Even I know that. Farrand definitely does too. I just laughed. But I'm not planning on going for Farrand. Huh? Why not? His surprise was because Airlines had the best benefits. Who would turn down a high salary? I said, I'm considering other airlines. Jackson gasped. Michael, are you crazy? I wouldn't even dare to dream about the salary they offer pilots. Which airline can offer that? It's not about the money. I didn't say why. After walking Jackson to the exam hall, I found myself wandering the campus alone. Sunlight was soft. Looking back, 8 years ago, I first met Gina in such weather. I came from a remote village, originally named Andy. My parents both passed when I was 10, leaving no savings. It was just my grandpa and me. One day after my middle school exams, a famous director came to our village. He wanted to film a documentary following a rural kid's life in a big city for 3 years. They had picked a city family, just missing the right rural kid. The principal recommended me. Before I left, he pulled me aside, looking serious. "Andy, do you know why we chose you? Because you're the top of your class. You must get into college, get out of here. I can't teach you much more, but there you'll have better teachers. Study hard and seize this chance. Understand?" I understood. He looked at me with pity. Going to F-City on my first plane ride, I got terribly airsick. The director laughed. "That's not going to cut it. Do you know what the family adopting you does?" I shook my head. "Look, all these planes you see, they're theirs." I looked up, saw a massive plane taking off. The roaring wind made my heart race. That gust of wind blew into my 18th year, forever changing my life. I was adopted by the Farand Airlines chairman's family. They held a lavish welcome party at their mansion. They gave me electronics I'd never seen before. It was supposed to be my welcome party, but I ended up being the most quiet, out-of-place person there. But soon, I spotted someone like me. A girl in a black dress stood on the second floor, looking down at me. I had never seen someone so beautiful, and her gaze was so distant. That was my first meeting with Gina. Gina was Susan's only daughter and the sole heir to Farand Airlines. She didn't like me, maybe she thought I was too plain. I ended up in her school and in the same class as her. She told me to act like I didn't know her at school. It's not like I was being followed around by cameras every day. Filming was arranged based on Susan's schedule, and both she and her husband were busy. Most of the time, it was just Gina and me at home. We didn't speak to each other, making the place feel even more empty. We broke the ice after the first monthly exam. My literature score was the worst in class. The teacher made me read my essay out loud. My essay was awkward and childish, like a kid's journal, and the whole class laughed. I felt lost and embarrassed. I went home and cried in my room. Then Gina kicked my door open. I thought my crying annoyed her and she was mad, but she tossed me a candy. She told me to come to her room after I finished it. "What? Come on, just do it already." Her tone was flat, a bit impatient. I'd never had that kind of candy. I unwrapped it and popped it in my mouth. It was sweet and sour. From that day on, Gina helped me with my essays and showed me stuff about airplane structures. By the finals, my grades had improved a lot. With my saved-up allowance, I bought Gina a small bird keychain. Gina's review: "It looks like an ugly chicken." "It's a bird," I corrected, not convincingly. She smirked slightly. Just that one time, but I could see a gentle side of her. She clipped the keychain to her backpack. "Thanks, Andy." Our relationship began to soften. Gina was good at her studies and kept helping me. I realized why Gina's attitude towards me changed. She was lonely. Her parents didn't care for her. Before I came after school, only a nanny was waiting for her at home. When I first arrived, she was hostile because she thought her parents would divide their limited love with me. But later, she realized I became the only person who stayed by her side. She had a fever one night, and I took her to the hospital in the snow. When she had appendicitis, I waited outside the surgery room. Even after the surgery was done, her parents didn't show. On Gina's 16th birthday, Susan and her husband promised to come home. But even by midnight, they didn't make it. That night, Gina was in the garden smoking, the dinner untouched on the table. Farand family rules said no smoking, but who cared? I wanted to comfort her, but I'm not good with words. In the end, I just dragged her out for a night ride. Miss Gina rarely rode a bike since she always had a car to take her places. We rode down the streets, embraced the night breeze, and felt free. I told her about life in the countryside, teaching her how to tell wheat from rice. Looking at the sky, Gina's eyes twinkled, and she said, "Someday, I'll open a route to your home." When you're young, falling in love is simple and intense. From 15 to 18, we never left each other's side. Girls at school mocked my accent. Gina confronted them, and nobody ever bullied me again. I had an old stomach ache that flared up, still had to smile for the cameras. Just out of frame, Gina passed me a hot water bottle. After the college entrance exams, Gina showed me her coming-of-age gift, a private jet. Her landing strip is so close to the night sky. Amid the roaring wind, Gina kissed me. If nothing goes wrong, we'd go to the same university, graduate together, then get married and have kids. So when did the unexpected happen? I guess it began when I saw Henry's photo. A familiar voice snapped me back to reality. Are you here for the interview? Gina was suddenly in front of me, checking me out. I was just accompanying Jackson to his Farrand Airlines interview. It was just a job interview, but Gina showed up in person and noticed me. I pretended to stay calm and shook my head. Because of my pollen allergy, I was wearing a big mask that covered up to my eyes. I was malnourished before, skinny as a stick. Now I'm healthier, I've got a tan, muscles, look like a proper pilot. She can't recognize me, right? But then Gina frowned. What's your name? Where are you from? The waiting room was silent. I didn't answer, thinking of a plan. Just then, Jackson came out of the interview room and heard her ask. Oh, my roommate's name is… He didn't finish as Gina's eyes turned sharp, and she grabbed me. Andy? Andy? Gina asked, sounding urgent. Jackson was confused. No, he's called Michael. I took a deep breath. My name's Michael. Can I help you? Michael? She didn't buy it, so I showed her my student ID. The ID had a photo, but it barely looked like me, so I wasn't worried. Gina was still skeptical. Can you take off the mask? No way. Jackson got defensive for me. He's got serious pollen allergies. That's why he wears a mask. We're just regular students, you've seen his ID. Gina realized her mistake and apologized, but couldn't stop looking at me. Even after we walked away, she stood there watching me. Jackson worriedly rubbed my wrist. She didn't hurt you, did she? Gina was so rough. It's fine. Jackson didn't know anything, I didn't blame him. But could Gina have figured something out? I hope I'm just overthinking. A rich heiress like her wouldn't hold a torch for a stand-in. I knew I resembled the young master 5 years ago. That was in late August, 3 months after being with Gina. Her birthday was coming up, and I saved up to buy her a designer hoodie. But on that day, Susan called me over. Andy, are you with Gina? She asked. I happily answered, yes, ma'am, we both got into a university. I don't agree. Her assertive attitude caught me off guard, leaving me stunned. You and Gina come from different worlds. I pay for your education, not for you to seduce my daughter. I'm not seducing her, I tried to explain. There's no we, she interrupted me again. Andy, I think you're a good kid, but you'll never be a Farrand son-in-law. I won't allow someone without a background into our family, and Gina wouldn't either. She's just playing around at her age. Is this the real face of capitalists? So different from what you see on camera. I'll be honest with you, Susan continued. You were adopted to enhance Farrand Airlines' public image. You've had the benefit of F-City's education and got into a top university. Be grateful and don't dream of things that aren't yours. Her coldness scared me. I stammered, but Gina is serious too. Serious? She laughed, spinning her chair and tossing out some photos. Look at this boy, Henry. Gina's childhood friend. She likes him a lot. His family's in the aeronautical materials industry, a perfect match for us. He went abroad for school before you came. That was the first time I met Henry, at least in a photo. We looked similar, but he was more handsome. I felt like his stand-in. My mind buzzed, chaotic. I don't mean to upset you, Susan said, but Henry is back, and you needed to know the truth. I see you as half a son, preparing you for reality. Susan's mix of kindness and coercion was spot on. She continued, I like kids who know their place. Think of your grandpa and your favorite principal. What would they think if they knew you were misbehaving in the city, chasing after girls? I understood her words. They were both persuasion and threat. Ultimately, what broke me wasn't her. When I returned to the villa wanting to ask Gina, I saw the handsome guy in the picture. Henry had come for Gina's birthday. He looked even better in person. They were talking, laughing, and the hoodie I got for Gina was in the trash. What happened next was simple. Over text, I suggested we break up. Gina, busy as she was, replied with 2 words. Reason? Bored. The documentary's over, no value left. I wasn't being prideful. That discarded hoodie held my last shred of dignity. Gina asked, "Was I just part of your act in F-City? If you think that way, I can't change it. Was it a lie when you said you liked me yesterday?"
Yeah.
I wanted to anger her. She didn't reply. I started typing furiously, questioning why she saw me as a substitute and why she threw away my gift. The only response was a glaring red exclamation mark. She deleted me. How nice. My ID was registered by Gina and was connected to private school alumni, all wealthy. Susan's words made me realize I shouldn't force my way into a world that doesn't belong to me. So I deleted my account. I was supposed to start university but gave it up to repeat a year. A university wasn't my first choice anyway. I wanted to attend Aerospace University, which was even harder for someone as frail as me. After a year of hard work, I got an early admission. Later, I changed my name, got into shape, and started living my own life. Funny enough, the documentary never passed censorship. They worried it would upset rural kids, so it wasn't aired. No airing is good. I thought meeting Gina was just a coincidence. A few days later, I went to the faculty office to get a job recommendation form. I opened the door. The teacher wasn't there. Only Gina was sitting inside. Why has she been around our school so much lately? Is the recruitment competition tough? Here for the recommendation form? Gina asked, looking at me intently. Come here. I adjusted my mask, saying, the teacher's not here, I'll come back another time. They gave me the form for you. Stuck? I slowly moved toward her. Up close, I noticed she still had the bird keychain I gave her on her car keys. It had faded over the years. Sorry about the last interview, she said. She recognized me. Won't you consider Farand Airlines? Top of your class. I've already chosen another airline, I mumbled. I can give you triple the salary. But, I swallowed. I just think another company suits me better. Her pen paused. She lifted her eyes. What suits you better than here? For a moment, I thought there was more to her words. I took the form and was about to leave when Gina grabbed my shoulder. Running away? You think I didn't recognize you? Andy? The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I sighed and removed my mask. It's me. So what? Gina's eyes held a dark intensity as if she was furious. You've got some nerve, she said. Dropping out, deleting, disappearing. Who taught you that? I stayed silent. You were in F-City all these years but never came to me? Why should I? We're not even close. Not close after 3 years of living together? Gina squinted, pressing on. She had changed a lot in 5 years with an air of authority now. But I wasn't afraid. I looked up and grinned. Gina, there are cameras here. Get any closer and I'll have to report you for harassment. She frowned. Andy, you've changed. I haven't. I've always been like this. Disappointed? Gina didn't respond, just pulled out a folded application. Join Farand Airlines. After training, I'll make sure you quickly take the commercial flight license exam. No, don't be stubborn. Surprisingly patient. She added, the last 3 years had tons of flight cancellations, leaving many pilots grounded. Exams are backed up, some have waited years. I still said no. Someone like me who loves to show off and lie isn't right for Farand Airlines. Besides, I've already talked to another airline. Gina was still trying to convince me when my phone rang. It was Henry. I kept quiet, but heard Gina pick up the call and say first thing, I found him. What? Henry sounded surprised. I found Andy. Gina looked at me. She had the call on speaker. The guy I bumped into that day was Andy. Oh, really? Henry's voice seemed disappointed. Henry, after the presentation, you said you checked all the guys' profiles for me. Gina paused slightly. You said none of them were him. Did you lie? I was surprised. Their conversation was unusually sharp. Gina definitely changed, colder and more ruthless, not even sparing Henry. Henry stammered, maybe I missed it. There aren't many guys in the aviation program. He missed it? Plus, he should have known from the photo. Gina, are you blaming me? Just reminding you, Gina said casually. Since you're going to be my assistant, you need to do your job. She hung up, so I got the gist. On the day of the presentation, Jackson's words made Gina suspicious. Henry offered to check all the guys' profiles but told Gina he didn't find me. He lied. He might have even hidden my info, But the bigger shocker? You had your boyfriend look for your ex? Couldn't help but ask. Gina gave me a weird look. He's not my boyfriend. So, couldn't get the real deal, so you're settling for me? Gina said Henry and I are just friends, and we won't be together. Whatever. I shrugged. Doesn't concern me. My attitude hurt Gina. Andy, after you disappeared, I've been looking for you. I haven't dated anyone else, you're the only one. Right, get to the point. She softened. I like you and want to get back together. Gina's confession felt really blunt. Obviously, I turned her down, but she didn't give up, saying she'd pursue me again. I found it amusing. I got an offer from another airline and started pre-employment training. Gina was persistent, always finding excuses to meet up for meals or shopping. I agreed every time. I even picked up a stray cat. Knowing I'd be away often, I entrusted the cat to her. She held it carefully, asking, Andy, will you visit often to see the cat? Of course, I smiled. Make sure you take good care of it, I'll check. Gina was delighted, thinking it was a sign of reconciliation. Little did she know, this was just my first step at getting back at her. In November, our company had a joint event with Fairend Airlines. Just a simple tour to relax for a day. Gina personally welcomed us. Quite a surprise that she'd show up for us trainees. Everyone was flattered. After a day of touring, Gina came to me. Hungry? Have some candy. The familiar sweet and sour candy from when I was 15. Thanks. Tired today? Not as exhausting as training. Balance work and rest. Don't pressure yourself too much. No pressure, it's just, I hesitated, meeting Gina's gentle, focused gaze. Blushing, I asked quietly, Gina, if a guy calls a girl every night, can she tell he likes her? What do you mean? Gina asked. Like, I'm afraid to confess because I don't want to ruin the friendship. Gina froze, her face turning pale. Andy, do you like someone? I nodded confidently, I do. The November wind blew through the window. Gina stood there like a statue. I waved it off, never mind. I shouldn't be asking you about this. Before I could finish, she pushed me into the office. Suddenly it was dark. Gina locked the door. With the curtains drawn, the room was dim. She pinned me against the door, her eyes full of turmoil. Andy, tell me you're lying. You haven't fallen for someone else. I never imagined her reaction would be so intense. It's true, I replied honestly. I'm not lying. Among the trainees, there's a girl named Winnie. She hits all my aesthetic points, and she's really nice. We're in a flirty stage. Gina didn't believe me, so I showed her my phone. Like I posted recently, wish I could watch the sunset. 5 minutes later, Winnie posted a sunset pic. 3 days ago, I posted, what's your wish today? Soon, Winnie shared a song, Today I Want to See You. These subtle hints drove Gina crazy. She gripped my waist, nearly enveloping me. Then why agree to meals with me? If I said no, you'd pester me. Then why entrust the cat to me? You can afford the best food for it. Gina clenched her teeth, finally accepting. Andy, you've been playing me? I laughed, why would I? I see you as just a friend. Those words completely infuriated Gina. Just then, I heard other trainees outside. Where's Michael? He was just here. Gina's missing too. Could they be in the office? No way, she never lets outsiders in there. Voices grew closer. They didn't know, just a door apart. Gina was holding me fiercely. Just friends would do this? She asked vehemently, keeping me close. Our breaths mingled. We all had some candy, and there was a sweet and sour smell in the air. Just then, the doorbell rang. Sorry to bother you, Gina, but have you seen our male student? I froze, making sure not to make a sound. The student said, let's go. There's nobody inside. But Gina lifted my chin and said, if I open the door now, what do you think will happen? Wait, I think I hear something. Winnie spoke up this time. Michael, are you in there? Gina's grip tightened. She's smart enough to guess the identity just from the name. Is it Andy? She asked. Winnie hesitated. Is someone talking in there? Gina was about to speak again, but I swiftly wrapped my arms around her waist. Her waist was slender and strong, her muscles firm. Gina froze. I leaned in close to her ear and whispered, if you say one more word, I will never forgive you. Gina went silent, but she looked more upset. For Winnie, I went as far as threatening her like that. Without a response, Winnie left with the others. The footsteps faded away completely, and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Gina's eyes were full of anger, like she'd been deeply wronged. Andy, how could I wrong you so much that you would torment me like this? What right do you have to ask that? I was fed up and retorted, after the filming was done, your parents kicked me out. Did I mean nothing to them, just a tool for show? And you, Gina, I may be poor, but I do have feelings. I gave you my heart, and you just played with it. What? Gina's brow furrowed tightly. Her expression was a mix of anger, shock, and confusion. I've been head over heels for you for 5 years. How did I ever play you? Her question shocked me too. It didn't seem fake. What's this all about? Weren't you treating me like Henry's stand-in? Who told you that? Who the hell said that? For the first time, I saw a nearly broken look on Gina's face. I never liked Henry. Where'd you get the stand-in idea? Susan told me, I said. What did she say? I told her, summarizing Susan's words. Gina's expression got colder and colder. She's full of it. Yes, Henry and I grew up together, but we've hardly been close since he lived abroad. Now, I was the one who was shocked. But on your birthday, Henry came by to celebrate with you. He was just dropping off some gifts on his way home. He didn't even remember my birthday. I studied her face over and over. It didn't seem like she was acting, and she wasn't a professional actress either. But you threw away my birthday gift, that sweatshirt, I said. Bringing it up made my blood boil. That was the last straw that turned me against Gina. But Gina didn't explain. She opened a small adjoining room in the office. There were a few pieces of clothing and a sofa bed for resting. And the sweatshirt I gave her hung right there, prominently. It had been carefully preserved, not a stain in sight. This is the one you gave me. I frowned, but I clearly saw. I got 2 identical ones, Gina said. My dad gave me the other one. You threw away the one your dad gave you? Yes. Gina gave a bitter smile. He bought the wrong size. He doesn't even know what size I wear. I paused for a moment. So what's between you and Henry now? After he graduated, he was arranged to join Farrand Aviation as my assistant by the old lady. My mom is very fond of his family business and wants to form an alliance. What does Henry think of this? That day, listening to their call, I could tell Henry had feelings for her. He confessed to me 3 years ago. Gina laid it all out with no hesitation. It shocked me at the time. I thought we just saw each other as childhood friends. He said after spending time together, he thought I was okay. But I refused on the spot. Back then, I wanted to move him from assisting me. But he said it wasn't necessary. He's moved on. The circle's full of families like ours that match in status. He found someone else. I believed it until I ran into you and realized it was an excuse. I got it. After that call, I never saw Henry again. He must have already been reassigned. But I was still puzzled. Really puzzled. I look so much like him, and he's even more good-looking. Why me? Is he better looking than you? Hardly. Gina took the sweatshirt and compared it against herself. 5 years later, she's no longer the girl she once was. Andy, I like you for who you are, not because of what you look like. She reflected on old times, her gaze softening. My parents never paid attention to me. Those 3 years in high school were the happiest of my life. I liked having someone to walk home with after school every day. I enjoyed having someone to argue with over the last piece of meat at dinner. And seeing your light on every night from my window, I liked that too. I really, really like you. And only you. Gina's eyes started tearing up. She seemed close to crying. As if embarrassed, she bowed her head. At that moment, her hunched figure was just like when I first met her. All alone. Cold and yearning for love and companionship. After that, we spent some time sorting out other misunderstandings. Like why, when I suggested breaking up, she so decisively deleted me. Turns out, that very day while Susan came to talk to me, her dad went to her. Her own dad had a rare heart-to-heart with her, talking all about me. Said I was only sticking around to show off and just wanted attention. He even claimed that my whole relationship with her was for selfish reasons. Gina didn't believe it at first, but her dad showed her behind-the-scenes footage from the documentary. In it, I admitted I came to F City with other intentions, for money. Gina was shocked and a bit disappointed. So when I asked to break up, she was upset too. But she regretted it that same night. She tried to win me back, only to find my account deactivated. She dug around for any clue of where I'd gone. But no one knew. When school started, she combed through the entire university campus looking for me. But a teacher told her I never even enrolled. Gina even visited my hometown and I wasn't there. The year I repeated my studies, the principal took me out of town to prepare for exams. Later, I changed my name, making it impossible for her to find me. All this trouble led to Gina letting out a sigh. I figured it out now. Chasing money isn't a big deal. I have money, and if you're after it, go ahead. If you want to use me, I'm willing. I shook my head. That video was edited. I really was after money because the production team promised if I did well, someone would pay for my grandpa's treatment and donate some books to my hometown school. Gina just stared at me, mumbling. So that's how it is, that's how it is. But, I said softly, you all broke your promises. My grandpa passed away. The school couldn't keep running, which is a shame. In the end, neither the production team nor the Farrens stuck to their word. When my grandpa was critically ill, those people in power wouldn't even see me. I guess I was just their tool for a show. The only solace is that I listened to what Principal Dad said and didn't waste the opportunity to study. Gina's face turned pale. I'm sorry. I didn't know about this. If I had known, I would've. There's no ifs, it's all in the past now. Well, what about us? We're like the school and Grandpa, never going back. That was my final answer to Gina. 5 years is quite some time, enough to change a person. The youthful passion has now faded away, leaving only sighs. Now that I've seen the true face of the world, I won't foolishly believe that love conquers all. But Susan was right in a way. We're not from the same world. So parting on good terms is the best outcome. I do feel guilty about the way I retaliated against Gina, but not much, maybe guilty for just a second. If she's suffering internally, then let her suffer. I've endured pain no less than hers. Who pities me? Besides, I had already rejected her. She just wouldn't give up, inviting her own consequences. But I didn't expect Gina wouldn't give up even after the second refusal. In December, Winnie got sick, and I took her to the hospital. While getting her meds, I unexpectedly ran into Gina. She immediately called out to me, "What's wrong?" "I'm fine. It's Winnie who's got a fever." Her face turned cold. "She's making you come? There are a lot of sick people here. Isn't she afraid you'll catch something? How can she not care about you at all?" I said, "Don't jump to conclusions. I came on my own." Gina's face turned worse after hearing that. "You care about her that much? You'd risk catching something to be with her? This has nothing to do with you." I continued with what I was doing. Gina followed me, not leaving me for a second. Until I couldn't take it anymore. "Gina, can you stop following me? Look at me." We locked eyes for a long time. I was puzzled. "If you're not unwell, I'm leaving." She finally gave a defeated look, full of grievance and disappointment. "Why don't you ask why I'm at the hospital? Didn't you notice I'm sick, too?" Now that she mentioned it, she did look unwell. Gina's gaze still held a glimmer of hope, wanting me to care about her. But I just said, "I'm with Winnie now. I have a girlfriend, so it's not convenient to care for you." Gina could tell from my words. It was a direct hit, and Gina was dumbstruck, the little color in her face fading fast. "Since when?" "Yesterday." She didn't speak, as if even standing was exhausting her. I left her, returning to Winnie. Winnie's great. She has a gentle nature and is very motivated. She's also the prettiest in our batch of trainees. Turns out she likes me too, so it just naturally happened between us. When I finally got back, Winnie asked, "What happened? It seemed like you were talking to someone just now." "Who was it?" "Farrand Airtime's Gina." "Do you know her well?" Winnie asked casually. "She seemed to visit you at work quite a bit." "Not really." I poured her a cup of hot water. "She once wanted to recruit me for Farrand Airtime. That's all." "Why didn't you join? Isn't Farrand Airtime your dream airline?" Winnie looked a bit envious. "Back then, I wanted to work there. The pay's good, but Fair and Airtime was too strict to let me in. I just smiled and didn't say much more. After that, Gina stopped reaching out. But Jackson took over, updating me on her status. Jackson became a flight attendant at Fair and Airtime and had good ties with the leadership. Michael, you know what? Gina's been fighting with her mom a lot recently. Looks like she's trying to take over. I was surprised, but thinking it over, it seemed very Gina-like. Her strained relationship with Susan was bound to lead to this. And get this, today's gossip is that Gina might have broken up with someone. She's been down every day, and someone said that after drinking, she even asked a new assistant how to be a third wheel. Wow, she's considering being a third wheel. What kind of guy drove her to that? I said, Henry, maybe? No, Gina cleared that up before, that there's nothing between her and Henry, so it has to be someone else. Your company is lively. You should have joined Fair and Airtime. By the way, how's your assessment going? A sour feeling hit me. The Air Authority's license assessment started. But I wasn't on the list this time. I couldn't understand why I wasn't picked when I topped everything during the training. Jackson comforted me all night, encouraging me to find out what had happened. On assessment day, after sending Winnie in, I immediately went to see my superior. He was polite at first. The slots are limited. Maybe next time. I just want to know why I wasn't chosen this time. What are the criteria? Well, it's a collective decision, not easy to explain in a few words. No worries, you can take your time. I've got all day. My persistence finally irritated him. He slammed the desk and said, Do you have any connections? What do you mean? I haven't missed a single training session. Never taken a day off. And I've completed more sessions than anyone else. How can you judge me like this? You say that doesn't matter, and with that attitude, no one will want to hire you in the future. I was completely speechless. I never imagined it would be for such a ridiculous reason. I know I've been behind, which is why I worked so hard. I finally left the village and became number one. Yet I still got sidelined. Why? In over 20 years, through all the struggles, I never shed a tear. But right now, I feel so utterly wronged, and the tears are just pouring down. The manager kicked me out. As I wiped my tears, I noticed someone in the corner of my eye. Gina stood against the wall, looking calm, as if she had heard everything. Michael, she called out to me, aren't you going to tell him off? His kind of outdated, narrow-minded thinking won't change with words. He needs a real wake-up call. But he's my boss. What if I've got your back? Gina said with such determination. She's right. If I stay quiet now, more trainees will face this unfair treatment from him. I can't hit him, that's just wrong. Instead, I grabbed my water bottle, turned around, and threw the entire contents on the manager. He pointed at me, shouting angrily. Gina then stepped in, steadying my trembling shoulders. The trainees you sent for assessment today were all rejected by Fair and Air, she said. The manager looked at her in shock. Gina? She nodded towards me. This pilot, Fair and Air is taking him. The manager suddenly put on a flattering smile. Let's sit down and talk this over. You're not even qualified to speak to me, she shot back. Make sure your higher up delivers Michael's file to Fair and Air by tomorrow. The manager's smile vanished. He finally realized the mess he'd made. I sat by the roadside, feeling so down, not wanting to talk. The winter wind chilled me to the bone. Gina kept talking. From today, take a break. But not for long. As soon as we get your info, you'll start at Fair and Air, though there might still be a testing process. I felt defeated. In the end, I still needed Gina's connection. So what does all my effort mean? Gina seemed to sense my thoughts. She plopped down next to me, not caring one bit about her expensive suit. Then, she took something out of her pocket, peeled it, and popped it into my mouth. Just like when I was 15, that tangy, sweet taste. Andy, what do you think about a commercial pilot's safety responsibilities? She asked, carrying the lives of all passengers on my shoulders. Exactly. So, even for you, I won't lower the standards. I was a bit stunned. Gina had a very serious expression. I'm pulling you back not because of our past. It's because, as a company head, I've reviewed all your past performances and made this decision. I believe losing a talented trainee like you is fair and air's loss. I want you back, but I won't exchange a flight position for personal reasons. No matter how close we are, I can't risk passengers' lives on someone without the skills. You're getting this job because of your merit, not because of connections. As for the authorities' assessment, I promise Fair and Air will only recommend based on performance and achievements, not connections. I slowly looked up. Just then, a plane flew overhead, leaving a beautiful trail in the sky. I murmured, I want to fly. Gina smiled. Fair and Air welcomes you. She wasn't lying. Once they sent my info to Fair and Air, I went through rigorous company tests and checks before officially joining. The day I got my offer, the first thing I wanted to do was break up with Winnie. I brought this good news to her, but I never got the chance to speak. Winnie was excited because she had just earned her commercial pilot's license, meaning she could finally fly commercial airlines. I was happy for her. But Winnie suddenly asked, Michael, aren't you returning to flying? Why? I hadn't told Winnie about Fair and Air's offer. I wanted to surprise her once I got the offer. My plan was I'd be away flying often, but someone had to be home to take care of the kids and elderly. I was stunned. You mean? Now that you're stepping away, why not stay home? Let's get married soon. Have 2 kids while I'm still young and my career isn't too busy yet. She looked like she was discussing with me, but her tone was very assured. Winnie, while training, my grades were better than yours. So what? I've got the license now. I'll become a captain before you. My salary's enough to support a family. You'll just have to cut back on spending. Couldn't believe my ears. How hadn't I seen this side of her? We've only been together a month. Not even pretending? She kept assigning tasks for me. I splashed her with tea. After using this move on the manager, it came quite naturally. Are you crazy? Winnie shouted. No, you are. I didn't know why I felt so calm. I grabbed my bag and walked out. But before I left, I realized I hadn't said something. I got into Fair and Air. Leaving Winnie in shock, I walked away confidently. I joined Fair and Air and became colleagues with Jackson. But I still had to undergo more training, waiting for the next time the authority would conduct license assessments. During this time, Fair and Air's leadership was in flux. Gina gradually took over the power from her mother. She introduced her beliefs into the company, giving male and female pilots equal pay. She was also involved in charity work, but unlike Susan's performative acts, she truly made a difference. She built a new school in my hometown. It was just the start. Eventually, more schools popped up in other impoverished villages. By the next fall, I had passed with flying colors and earned my commercial pilot's license. From that moment on, I officially became an airline pilot. From muddy mountain roads to airport jetways. This journey took me nearly 24 years. And it's not over yet. I started logging flight hours, aiming for the captain's seat. When I was 26, Susan was completely sidelined. She never expected all those bumps she faced over the years were created by her own daughter. One day, I passed by the office and heard a heated argument inside. Susan was aging visibly, and dyeing her hair couldn't hide her gray roots. She said, Gina, I'm your birth mother. Why do this to me? Gina replied, Did you ever treat me like your daughter? She smiled faintly without emotion. You never celebrated a single birthday with me, never attended a single parent-teacher meeting. Where were you when I had surgery? You were with your lover. During those times, did you ever think I was your real daughter? Susan tried to defend herself. Gina continued, and when you spoke harshly to Andy, did you consider that? He was your daughter's first love, and how much your daughter liked him. She coldly declared, You never treated me well. How could you expect me to treat you well? As Gina walked out of the office, she saw me. She seemed surprised. When did you land? An hour ago. I arrived early today. You already knew that? She smiled and stayed silent. I understood she had been quietly following my every flight for the last 2 years, never missing one. We grew up, continued maturing, no longer speaking endlessly about love or lack thereof. We found more ways to interact, like colleagues or friends. We often met up and had meals together, but we no longer discussed getting back together. We talked about flight routes, piloting, the city lights, There are so many things more important than love. Gina stayed single all this time. I knew she was still waiting for me, silently waiting. Time flew by, and in a blink of an eye, 7 years passed. During those 7 years, I completed 2,700 flight hours, passed the assessments, and became a captain. On my 31st birthday, Farand Airlines officially launched the route from my hometown to F-City. Gina personally gave the order, appointing me as the first captain on this route. I brought my principal to F-City, making him one of the first passengers. On the first flight, everything was going smoothly at first. Midway, we suddenly encountered extreme weather conditions that the forecast didn't catch. The turbulence was violent, making the flight especially challenging. It would be a lie to say I wasn't scared. My palms were sweating. The instructor was behind me, seeing my mental struggle, and encouraged me. But the weather kept getting worse. Fear grew among people. Jackson got on the voice channel, and I heard the chaos in the cabin. "Michael, are you nervous?" A familiar voice came through. Jackson and I had been close buddies since freshman year in college and still worked together today. He knew me so well and saw through my anxiety. "Don't be nervous. It's just the stress getting to you. It's not because you can't fly. You just became a captain. You're still adjusting your mindset." I knew. You were the top back then. No one is better than you. Whether you keep flying or make an emergency landing, I'll be outside awaiting your instructions. Okay. The weather seemed to get worse. I suddenly remembered my childhood. In the mountains, there was a lot of this weather. No matter how bad it got, I would always go to school. The year I repeated a grade, the school couldn't continue. Lack of funds was one reason, and there were also no students. I'll never forget his disappointed look. He said, "You need to represent those kids, spread your wings, and fly above the clouds." He took me out of the village to repeat the grade and take exams. I carried their hopes. Yes, countless others. So I can't give up here. I gathered my spirits, seriously discussed with the tower and crew. Everyone agreed to continue flying, so I called Jackson. "We can fly." Just 2 words. Jackson let out a long breath. Then, "I'll handle the cabin." I knew he was scared too, but he still chose to be my support, fighting alongside me. Jackson's soothing voice started in the cabin. He said, "Trust the captain." 20 minutes later, I finally cleared the clouds and saw a ray of sunshine. The airport sits in the town near our village. After a successful landing, cheers from the tower filled the broadcast. Once all passengers disembarked, Jackson finally relaxed, giving me a few celebratory punches. "All right, let's go." Enough horsing around. We tidied up, put on our hats, and left the plane. Entering the airport, I was stunned. Both sides of the passage were lined with people. Some passengers, some relatives. "Thank you. Thank you, Captain." Cheers spread all around. At that moment, all my efforts seemed worthwhile. Principal's hair was gray, but he was as joyful as a child, showing others, "Look, the captain is my student." He was the first college student from our village. And at the passage's end was Gina. Her eyes red, holding flowers and a birthday cake she'd prepared. We exchanged glances. That one look seemed endlessly long. From 15 to 31, every memory was vivid, yet dissipated like smoke. Youth is like the candy we had at 15, sweet and sour, unforgettable. My girl wasn't young anymore, yet she still stood by my side. Surviving the ordeal, everything was clear. I smiled warmly at Gina. Gina couldn't hold back. Tears fell like rain. She rushed over to hug me, tightly. This time, amid cheers and encouragement, I gently held her in return.